9/11 fired Atlanta police officer Garrett Rolfe is spending the night in the Gwinnett County Jail. Records show Rolfe was moved to Lawrenceville from the Fulton County Jail a couple of hours ago after he surrendered. Rolfe is the former officer charged in the death of Rayshard Brooks.
Brooks was shot nearly a week ago in a Wendy's parking lot in southeast Atlanta. Both Rolfe and his partner, Officer Devin Brosnan, turned themselves in today before the deadline. Brosnan is now out on bond. Rolfe is expected to make his first court appearance tomorrow at noon. We are staying on top of every development in this story. John Sherrick kicks off our team coverage tonight live outside the Fulton County Jail, where both men were booked earlier today. John.
And as you said, that after Rolfe surrendered here at the Fulton County Jail, he was transferred to the Gwinnett County Jail, where he's likely being held apart from the general population, which would be routine for officers and former officers accused of crimes. The prosecution and the defense already forming their arguments about the guilt or innocence of Rolfe and Brosnan.
Once again, when there is video of an officer-involved shooting, in this case at least 8 videos, truth is in the eye of the beholder.
How are you doing right now?
Atlanta police officer Devin Brosnan says through his attorney Don Samuel that the videos show he did everything right, especially in the moments after now former officer Garrett Rolfe shot Rayshard Brooks. Just then, Samuel says of Brosnan.
He walks up and he sees Mr. Brooks there. Mr. Brooks is alive, he's talking, he's moving.
Samuel says Brosnan didn't realize at first that Brooks had been shot. But what about Brosnan stepping on Brooks and holding Brooks down with his foot, as the district attorney accuses Brosnan of doing?
He knows that Mr. Brooks has his taser, so he's worried about that. So he puts his foot down on his arm just to make sure he can't grab a weapon. It's like 6 seconds. Then he realizes he's been shot, he doesn't have a weapon, and he takes his foot off his arm. And the DA says that's an aggravated assault.
Garrett Rolfe's attorney, Lance LaRusso, declined to speak on camera after Rolfe surrendered. But LaRusso has told us that the video shows that in the seconds after Brooks fought with the 2 officers and ran away, then LaRusso says Rolfe shot Brooks in self-defense as Brooks was turning around to fire what turned out to be a taser at Rolfe. Quote, Officer Rolfe's actions were justified, LaRusso says. Officer Rolfe will be vindicated.
So that's part of what the jury will hear at the trial. And of course, then the jurors will decide what they think the video and the evidence show.
And John, now that Brosnan has been released on a signature bond, what about Rolfe?
Well, of course, the prosecution's already said that they're going to oppose any request from Rolfe for a bond, but that'll be up to a Superior Court judge down the road. In the meantime, Rolfe's going to stay in custody.
All right, John.
Thank you.